Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the Great Hall of Nexus Prime Station. The room was huge, with walls that curved up into a dome high above his head. 47 different alien species sat in their special seats around the circular chamber. Each species had their own section with chairs made for their bodies. Jake had been Earth's main speaker at the Galactic Council for 15 years. His hair was gray now, and lines marked his face from all the stress. He wore his blue Earth uniform with pride, but today felt different. Today might be his last day here. Ambassador Lisa Hayes from the Zenthari Empire stood at the center podium. She was tall and thin with purple skin and 4 arms. Her voice was cold as she spoke about humanity's latest crimes against Council law. Humans have built 12 new colonies outside their allowed space, Lisa said. Her 4 hands moved as she talked. They refuse to follow the rules we made for them. They think they can do whatever they want. Jake watched from his spot in the human section. Dr. Sam Parker sat next to him. Sam was Earth's top science advisor and Jake's old friend. Sam's hands were tight on his chair arms as he listened to the alien woman speak. Other aliens nodded as Lisa talked. The Vorthak representative, a large bug-like creature called Commander Zex-9, made clicking sounds of agreement. The Eldari counselor, who looked like a blue tree with eyes, swayed back and forth in approval. Humans are young and wild, said the melody speaker. The small, furry alien's voice was high and squeaky. They need more control. They need to learn their place. Jake felt anger building in his chest. Humans had joined the Galactic Council 50 years ago. At first, everyone seemed happy to have them. Humans were good at fixing problems between different species. They could talk to anyone and find ways to make peace. But as years passed, the older alien races became scared. Humans learned fast, maybe too fast. They could understand alien technology and make it better. They spread to new worlds quickly. Some aliens started to worry that humans might become too powerful. The Council began making new rules. Humans could only travel to certain star systems. They could only build colonies in approved areas. They had to ask permission before trying new experiments. Each year brought more limits and more restrictions. The Council has decided, announced Chairman Valdris. He was from the Ashanti race and looked like a tall gray man with no hair. Humans will be limited to 12 star systems. All other colonies must be abandoned. Human ships cannot leave these areas without special permission. Jake stood up slowly. The entire chamber became quiet. All eyes turned to him as he walked to the center of the room. His boots made small sounds on the metal floor. Chairman Valdris, Jake said in a clear voice, members of the Council, I have listened to your words today. He looked around the room at all the different aliens. Some seemed angry at humans. Others looked afraid. A few appeared sad, but not many. For 50 years, Earth has been part of this council, Jake continued. We followed your rules. We asked permission for everything. We tried to be good members. Commander Zex-9 made more clicking noises. Humans should be grateful, the bug creature said. We protected you. We taught you about space travel. You owe us everything. Jake smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Protected us from what? Taught us what? Humans figured out faster than light travel on their own. We learned to talk with alien species by ourselves. We made peace between warring worlds when you could not. The Eldari counselor's leaves rustled with annoyance. Humans are too aggressive, too quick to change things. You upset the balance we have kept for thousands of years. What balance? Sam Parker stood up next to Jake. The balance where the Karathi and Melody fight every few months until humans step in to stop them. The balance where your trade routes only work because human engineers fix your machines. More aliens started talking at once, their voices mixed together in dozens of different languages. Chairman Valdris hit his gavel to make them stop. The decision is made, Valdris said firmly. Humans will follow the new restrictions or face consequences. Jake looked at his friend Sam, then at the few other humans in the room. Captain Ryan, Bell of the Earth Defense Force, gave him a small nod. Dr. Emma Foster, their alien culture expert, closed her eyes and nodded too. Jake turned back to face the council. His voice carried clearly through the chamber. "We appreciate everything the Galactic Council has offered over the years," he said. "We learned a lot from our time here. We made some good friends among the stars." He paused and looked directly at Chairman Valdris. "But we will not accept these new restrictions. Humans are not children who need to be controlled. We are not pets who need to be kept in cages." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. No species had ever refused a council decision before. It was unthinkable. Jake raised his hand for quiet. When the noise died down, he spoke his final words as Earth's ambassador. "Earth hereby withdraws from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. We thank you for the experience, but we choose to go our own way." He turned and walked toward the exit. Sam, Captain Bell, Dr. Foster, and the other humans followed him. Their footsteps echoed in the stunned silence. Behind them, the aliens began shouting. Some demanded they come back. Others called them foolish children. A few even threatened war. Jake never looked back. As the doors closed behind them, he activated his communicator. "Captain Bell, send the message to Earth. Operation Exodus begins now. Bring all our people home." The greatest diplomatic crisis in galactic history had just begun. 3 months had passed since Admiral Morrison walked out of the Galactic Council chambers. Lieutenant Commander Kate Rivers stood on the bridge of the exploration ship Aurora, watching through the main screen as the last human research station prepared for evacuation. The station orbited a dead planet in the Outer Rim territories. For 20 years, human scientists had studied the strange crystals found in the planet's core. Now they had to leave everything behind and return to human space. "All personnel are aboard," reported Chief Engineer Mike Davis. "We can leave anytime." "You give the order, Commander." Kate nodded but kept watching the station. It hurt to abandon all that work, all those discoveries, but those were the orders from Earth. All humans must return to the 12 systems they still controlled. "Take us out, Mike," she said finally. "Set course for home." As the Aurora moved away from the research station, Kate thought about all the changes happening across the galaxy. The news reports coming through the communication networks told a story of growing chaos. On the bridge, Communications Officer Jenny Martinez looked up from her station. "Commander, I'm getting reports from the Karathi border worlds. Fighting has started again between them and the Melody." Kate was not surprised. The Karathi and Melody had been enemies for over 200 years. Only human peacekeepers had kept them from full war during the last century. With humans gone, old hatreds were returning. "How bad is it?" Kate asked. Jenny checked her screens. 12 Karathi ships destroyed. The Melody have lost 15. Both sides are calling for reinforcements. Dr. Lisa Murphy joined them on the bridge. She was the Aurora's science officer and had spent years studying alien technology. Her face looked tired and worried. "I just finished talking to the evacuation teams from Gamma Serpentis," Lisa said. "The aliens there are in real trouble. The fusion reactors that power their factories are starting to fail." "Can't their own engineers fix them?" Kate asked. Lisa shook her head. "Those reactors are based on human designs. We modified old Zenthari technology to make it work better. The aliens never really understood how we did it. They just knew it worked when humans ran it." Kate walked to the star chart display on the bridge wall. Red markers showed dozens of locations where problems were starting. Each red dot represented a crisis that humans used to solve. "Look at this," she said, pointing to different areas. "Trade route disputes here, here, and here. Equipment failures on industrial worlds. Border conflicts breaking out everywhere." Mike Davis came up to look at the display. "It's like we were holding everything together and nobody noticed until we left." The Aurora's destination was New Montana, humanity's newest colony world. President Helen Cruz had ordered all returning humans to stop there for debriefing. Something important had been discovered in the planet's ancient ruins. As they traveled, Kate received updates from across human space. Captain Ryan Bell was organizing the evacuation of human traders from the Vega system. Dr. Sam Parker had returned to Earth to brief the government on the Council's reaction. Admiral Morrison was setting up a new command structure for humanity's independent military. "Commander," Jenny called out. I'm getting a priority message from Earth. President Cruz wants to speak with all ship commanders. Kate activated the main communication system. President Cruz's image appeared on the bridge's large screen. She was a strong woman with graying hair and serious eyes. Behind her stood Senator Paul Graham and other government officials. People of the Earth Defense Force, President Cruz began. I know many of you have questions about our withdrawal from the Galactic Council. Some of you might think we made a mistake. She paused and looked directly into the camera. I want you to know that we had no choice. The aliens were trying to cage us, to control us, to keep us weak. Humans are not meant to live in cages. Senator Graham stepped forward. We're getting reports from our intelligence network. The galactic economy is starting to collapse. Trade agreements that humans negotiated are falling apart. Species that haven't fought in centuries are preparing for war. But that's not our problem anymore. President Cruz continued. Our job now is to take care of our own people and build our own future. We've learned that we can't trust aliens to treat us fairly. Kate felt mixed emotions as she listened. Part of her was proud that humanity had stood up for itself. But another, part worried about all the aliens who had been their friends, who were now suffering because humans were gone. After the message ended, Dr. Murphy approached Kate privately. Commander, I need to tell you something. The research team on New Montana has found something incredible in those ruins. What kind of something? Kate asked. Lisa looked around to make sure no one else was listening. They think the ruins were built by humans. Not modern humans, but an ancient human civilization that lived here thousands of years ago. Kate stared at her. That's impossible. Humans only left Earth 50 years ago. That's what we thought, Lisa said quietly. But the evidence is getting stronger. Dr. Foster's team has found human DNA in the ruins, tools made for human hands, writing that looks similar to ancient Earth languages. Before Kate could respond, alarms started sounding throughout the ship. Jenny's voice came over the intercom system. All hands to stations. We're receiving a distress call from a civilian transport. The ship is under attack. Kate rushed back to the bridge. On the main screen, she could see a small passenger ship trying to escape from 3 larger warships. The attackers had strange designs she didn't recognize. Who are they? Kate demanded. Jenny worked frantically at her station. I don't know, Commander. The ship designs aren't in our database. The passenger transport is carrying human refugees from the Tau Ceti system. Kate made her decision quickly. All weapons online, move to intercept. We're not going to let them hurt our people. The Aurora was an exploration ship, not a warship, but it had defensive weapons. As they approached the battle, Kate saw that the attacking ships were badly designed and poorly maintained. Their weapons were old and weak. Fire warning shots, Kate ordered. Let them know we're here. The enemy ships immediately turned and ran when they saw the Aurora approaching. They had expected to find an easy target, not a defended human ship. Kate watched them disappear into hyperspace. Jenny, get me a connection to the passenger transport. A few minutes later, the face of an older man appeared on screen. He looked frightened but grateful. Thank you for saving us, he said. I'm Captain Bob Stevens of the Transport Peaceful Journey. We were carrying families from the Tau Ceti colonies back to human space. What happened out there, Captain? Kate asked. Bob's face grew dark. Pirates. They've been attacking ships all over this sector since the humans left. The Galactic Patrol used to keep them away, but there's no one protecting the trade routes anymore. Kate nodded grimly. Another problem caused by humanity's departure. She was starting to understand just how much humans had been doing to keep the galaxy peaceful and stable. As the Aurora continued toward New Montana, Kate wondered what other surprises were waiting for them. The galaxy was falling apart, and somehow it seemed like humans were the key to everything. 1 year had passed since Earth left the Galactic Council. Commander Alex Stone stood in the cargo bay of the civilian transport New Horizon, watching families pack their belongings into storage containers. These were the last humans living in the Vega system, and they had to leave quickly. War had finally come to Vega. The Xanthari Empire and the Cortex Republic were fighting over the system's rich mining worlds. Both sides wanted the humans gone before the real battle began. How many more ships do we need? Asked Dr. Jenny Clark, the transport's medical officer. She was helping an elderly human man carry his luggage. Alex checked his datapad. 3 more transports should be enough. Most families have already left for human space. Through the cargo bay windows, Alex could see Xanthari warships moving into position around the system's outer planets. The purple-skinned aliens had been building up their fleet for months. Intelligence reports said the Corthex were doing the same on the other side of the system. "Commander Stone," came a voice over his communicator. "This is Captain Lee Parker from the defense ship Guardian. We need to talk." Alex activated his communicator. "Go ahead, Captain." "The Xanthari Admiral just contacted me. He says all human ships must leave Vega space within 6 hours, or they'll consider us enemy vessels." Alex felt anger rise in his chest. Humans had lived in the Vega system for 30 years. They had built cities, raised families, and made the planets more productive. Now they were being kicked out like unwanted guests. "Tell the Admiral we'll be gone when we're gone," Alex replied. "We're not leaving our people behind." On Earth, President Helen Cruz sat in an emergency meeting with her top advisors. Admiral Morrison placed intelligence reports on the conference table while Dr. Sam Parker activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. "The situation is worse than we expected," Morrison said. "The Xanthari Corthex War is spreading. 4 other species have picked sides and are sending ships." Dr. Parker pointed to different areas on the galactic map. "We're seeing wars break out in 17 different sectors. The old treaty system is completely broken." Senator Paul Graham leaned forward in his chair. "How much of this is because we left?" "More than we thought," admitted Dr. Emma Foster, who had returned from studying the alien cultures. "Humans weren't just members of the council. We were the glue that held everything together." She activated another display showing trade routes and diplomatic connections. "Look at this." Humans were involved in 70% of all interspecies trade agreements. We mediated disputes, managed supply chains, and kept old enemies from fighting. President Cruz studied the information with worried eyes. "Are you saying we should go back to the council?" "No," Morrison said firmly. "The council treated us like children. But we need to understand what our leaving has caused." Dr. Foster continued her briefing. "Without human peacekeepers, the Karathi and Melody are at full war. The galactic trade network is falling apart because human coordinators are gone. Industrial worlds are shutting down because alien engineers can't maintain the systems that humans designed." Meanwhile, on Mars, Chief Engineer Lisa Murphy worked in her laboratory with a team of human technicians. They were trying to reverse engineer alien technologies that Earth could no longer buy or trade for. "The problem is that most alien tech is based on human innovations," Lisa explained to her team. "We developed the theories. They built the machines, but they never really understood how it all worked." Her assistant, Dr. Rick Martinez, held up a Xanthari power cell. "This energy storage system uses principles that human physicist Dr. Sarah Kim discovered 15 years ago. But the aliens built it wrong. It's only half as efficient as it should be." Lisa nodded. "That's the pattern we keep seeing. Alien technology that's based on human ideas but poorly executed. No wonder their equipment keeps failing without us around to fix it." Back on New Montana, Dr. Sandra Lee made an incredible discovery in the ancient ruins. She was humanity's leading expert on the mysterious structures that had been found across the planet. "Director Foster, you need to see this," Sandra called to her supervisor over the communication system. Emma Foster's image appeared on Sandra's portable screen. "What did you find?" Sandra held up a stone tablet covered in strange symbols. "This writing isn't just similar to ancient human languages. It is ancient human language. Pre-Egyptian hieroglyphs mixed with symbols that match cave paintings from Earth." Emma's eyes went wide. "Are you sure?" "I've run every test I can think of," Sandra replied. "Plus, I found something else. Star maps. Detailed charts showing dozens of planets across the galaxy. And every single one has ruins just like these." The implications were staggering. If Sandra was right, humans hadn't just recently joined the galactic community. They had been there before thousands of years ago. As the New Horizon finished loading the last refugees from Vega, Alex Stone received an urgent message from Earth. Admiral Morrison's face appeared on his screen, looking grim. Alex, we need you to change course. Don't head straight back to human space. Where do you want us to go? Alex asked. The Tau Omega system. We've lost contact with our research station there. Something is attacking human outposts along the frontier. Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Attacking? Who? Morrison's expression grew darker. We don't know. The attackers are using ships we've never seen before. They're not from any known species. Dr. Clark overheard the conversation and joined Alex at the communication station. Admiral, we have 300 civilians on board. Women and children. We're not equipped for combat. I understand, Morrison replied. But you're the closest ship to Tau Omega. If there are survivors at that research station, you might be their only hope. Alex made his decision. We'll go, but I want a full escort of defense ships meeting us there. Already on the way, Morrison confirmed. And Alex? Be careful. Whatever attacked that station, it completely destroyed the base. There were no survivors among the research staff. As the New Horizon changed course toward Tau Omega, Alex wondered what new threat was emerging in the galaxy. First, the breakdown of galactic civilization, now mysterious attackers targeting human settlements. In the Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime, Chairman Valdris faced a room full of angry alien representatives. The elegant chamber that had once hosted peaceful debates now echoed with shouting voices and accusations. The Zenthari started this war, declared the Cortex ambassador, a large reptilian creature with sharp teeth. They invaded our mining colonies. We were protecting our trade routes, the Zenthari representative replied coldly. Routes that the humans used to guarantee were neutral. Chairman Valdris hit his gavel repeatedly, trying to restore order. Fighting among ourselves will not solve anything. Commander Zex-9, the insect-like Vorthak, clicked his mandibles in agitation. This is what happens when we let the humans leave. They were keeping the peace, and we were too proud to admit it. The admission sent shockwaves through the chamber. For the first time, one of the elder species had openly acknowledged humanity's importance. Perhaps, suggested the Eldari counselor, her tree-like form swaying thoughtfully, we should consider asking the humans to return. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some species demanded that humans be invited back immediately. Others insisted that humanity must be punished for abandoning their duties. A few suggested that it was too late, that too much damage had been done. Chairman, Valdris knew that time was running out. Every day brought new reports of wars, economic collapse, and technological failures. The galaxy was falling apart, and everyone was starting to realize that humans had been the key to holding it all together. But would humanity even consider coming back after everything that had happened? 2 years had passed since Earth walked away from the Galactic Council. Dr. Sandra Lee stood deep inside the ancient ruins on New Montana, her hands shaking as she held the most important discovery in human history. The stone tablet in her hands contained star charts and technical specifications that proved beyond doubt what she had suspected for months. Humans were not newcomers to the galaxy. They were the descendants of an ancient civilization that had once ruled the stars. Director Foster? Sandra called into her communicator. You need to get down here right now. I've found the master archive. Emma Foster's voice crackled back through the underground communication system. What kind of archive? Everything, Sandra replied, her voice filled with amazement. The complete history of the Terran Empire. Technical manuals for technologies we can barely imagine. And Sandra, the Terrans weren't just another spacefaring race. They were the galaxy's peacekeepers for over 10,000 years. Above ground, Captain Ben Adams landed his deep space research ship Pioneer on New Montana's surface. He had been exploring the galaxy's outer rim when he received orders to return immediately. What he had discovered out there would change everything. Ben walked quickly to the command center where Admiral Morrison was waiting. The Admiral looked older and more tired than Ben remembered. Captain Adams, Morrison said grimly, tell me about these aliens you encountered. Ben activated a holographic display showing images of massive dark ships unlike anything in the galactic databases. They call themselves the Harvesters. Their ships are bigger than our largest battleships, and they have weapons that can destroy entire planets. Morrison studied the images carefully. What do they want? That's the disturbing part, Ben replied. They're not interested in conquest or resources. They're judges. They travel through the galaxy looking for civilizations that have become too chaotic or aggressive, then they eliminate them. The Admiral's face went pale. Eliminate how? Complete destruction. No survivors, no negotiation. According to their leader, a being that calls itself the Prime Harvester, they've been doing this for millions of years. Ben activated another display showing a conversation he had recorded with the alien entity. The Prime Harvester was a towering figure in dark armor, its voice deep and emotionless. For countless cycles, the Terrans maintained order in this galaxy, the recorded voice said. They prevented the chaos that requires our intervention, but the Terrans vanished and now chaos spreads again. Morrison leaned forward. Did they say anything else about the Terrans? Yes, Ben replied. The Prime Harvester said they had been waiting for the Terrans to return, but instead they found only primitive humans who abandoned their duties as guardians. The Harvesters consider the current galactic wars as proof that it's time to begin culling again. Meanwhile, in the underground archives, Sandra Lee made another shocking discovery. The ancient Terran records contained detailed information about the Harvesters and their role in galactic history. Emma, listen to this, Sandra called to her supervisor. According to these records, the Harvesters are an ancient machine race programmed to maintain galactic stability. But they're not evil. They're just following their programming. Emma Foster descended into the archive chamber, her eyes wide as she saw walls covered in glowing Terran text. What does that mean? The Terrans made a deal with the Harvesters long ago, Sandra explained, reading from the ancient records. The Harvesters would stay dormant as long as the Terrans maintained peace in the galaxy. But if the Terrans ever failed in their duty, the Harvesters would awaken and restore order through force. Emma felt a chill run through her body. So by leaving the Galactic Council, modern humans triggered the Harvesters' awakening. Not just leaving the Council, Sandra replied. By allowing galactic civilization to collapse into war and chaos. We're the genetic heirs of the Terrans, which means we inherited their responsibilities whether we wanted them or not. Back on Earth, President Helen Cruz convened an emergency session of the World Council. Representatives from every human world attended through holographic communication. The news about the Harvesters and humanity's ancient heritage had shocked everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, President Cruz began, we face a crisis unlike anything in human history. We've learned that our species once ruled the galaxy as peacekeepers, and our departure from that role has awakened an ancient threat. Admiral Morrison stood to address the Council. Intelligence reports indicate that the Harvester fleet is already moving. They've begun destroying worlds in the Outer Rim, starting with planets showing the highest levels of internal conflict. Senator Graham raised his hand to speak. Are you suggesting we should have stayed with the Galactic Council? That we should have accepted their restrictions? No, Morrison replied firmly. The Council was treating us as subjects, not as the rightful guardians we apparently are. But we need to understand that our actions have consequences for the entire galaxy. Dr. Foster joined the discussion through hologram from New Montana. The Terran archives contain complete technical specifications for advanced defensive systems, technologies that could protect worlds from Harvester attacks. But activating them requires a global decision. President Cruz looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders. What are you asking us to do? Reclaim our heritage, Emma replied. Not as members of the Galactic Council, but as the galaxy's natural protectors. The Terrans didn't rule through force. They maintained peace through wisdom, technology, and diplomatic skill. On the industrial world of Gamma Serpentis, the situation had grown desperate. Without human engineers to maintain the fusion reactors, power failures were cascading across multiple star systems. The alien population was beginning to panic. Factory. Supervisor Thurok 5, a large bear-like alien, stood in his darkened control room trying to understand why the human-designed systems kept failing. His species had run these factories for decades, but they had always depended on human technical support. Send another message to Earth, Thurok 5 ordered his communication officer. Tell them we're willing to negotiate any terms if they'll send engineers to help us. The communication officer, a small furry creature, looked up sadly. Sir, we've sent 17 messages. Earth isn't responding to requests from non-human sources. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council chambers, Chairman Valdris faced the worst crisis in the Council's 1,000-year history. Half the member species were at war, the other half were dealing with economic collapse or technological failures. We must contact Earth directly, Valdris announced to the remaining Council members. Pride has cost us everything. We need the humans back. Commander Zex-9 clicked his mandibles in agreement. The Vorthak Empire officially requests that humanity be invited to return to the Council with full honors and no restrictions. One by one. The other species representatives agreed. Even the proud Zenthari and Cortex ambassadors who were still fighting their bitter war acknowledged that only human intervention could save the galaxy from complete collapse. But as Chairman Valdris prepared to send a formal invitation to Earth, new reports arrived that changed everything. The Harvester fleet had accelerated their advance and was now only months away from the galaxy's core worlds. Captain Ben Adams received new orders from Earth to return to Harvester space immediately. This time, he wouldn't be going alone. Admiral Morrison was assembling a small fleet of humanity's most advanced ships. Our mission is diplomatic, Morrison explained to his ship commanders. We're going to try to negotiate with the Harvesters. If the Terran archives are correct, we might be able to convince them to return to dormancy. But Ben knew it wouldn't be that simple. The Harvesters had been waiting for thousands of years for the Terrans to return. Would they accept modern humans as legitimate heirs to that legacy? As Ben's ship prepared to depart, he wondered if humanity was ready to accept the responsibility that came with their ancient birthright. Being the galaxy's guardians meant more than just having advanced technology. It meant making the hard choices that kept billions of beings safe. The fate of the entire galaxy might depend on whether humans were ready to become what they had always been meant to be. 3 years had passed since humanity left the Galactic Council. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the battleship Earth's Pride, leading a small human fleet toward what remained of Nexus Prime Station. The once great diplomatic center was now a war zone, with Harvester ships systematically destroying everything in sight. The message from Chairman Valdris had arrived just days ago. It was desperate and humble, nothing like the proud demands that had driven humanity away years earlier. Admiral Morrison, the message had said, the Galactic Council formally requests Earth's immediate return. We acknowledge our mistakes and offer humanity full leadership status in a new galactic government. The Harvesters have destroyed 43 worlds in the past month. We are defenseless without you. Now, as Morrison watched Harvester ships tear apart the space station where he had once been treated as a second-class representative, he felt no satisfaction in being proven right. Too many beings were dying for this to feel like a victory. Sir, called Captain Ryan Bell from his position at the tactical station, the Harvester command ship is responding to our communication request. The main screen filled with the image of the Prime Harvester, exactly as Captain Adams had described. The ancient machine being was massive and imposing, its dark armor covered in symbols that hurt to look at directly. You claim to be Terrans, the Prime Harvester's voice echoed, through the bridge. But you are small and weak, nothing like the great civilization that once brought order to this galaxy. Morrison stepped forward, his voice steady and confident. We are the genetic and cultural descendants of the Terrans. We carry their knowledge and their responsibility. The Prime Harvester's glowing eyes studied Morrison carefully. The Terrans would not have allowed chaos to spread as you have. 47 species at war. Economic systems collapsing. Entire worlds abandoned because their inhabitants cannot maintain basic technology. You're right, Morrison admitted. We made mistakes. We left our post when we should have reformed it. But we're here now, ready to restore order. Behind Morrison, Dr. Sandra Lee worked at a special console that had been installed on the bridge. The device was built using technology found in the Terran archives, and it was humanity's best hope of proving their legitimacy to the harvesters. "Admiral," Sandra called out, "the archives are online. I'm transmitting the authentication codes now." The Prime Harvester's form became still as it received and processed the ancient Terran data. For several long minutes, the machine being analyzed, the information that proved humanity's connection to the galaxy's former guardians. "The codes are genuine," the Prime Harvester finally announced. "You carry the genetic markers of the Terrans, but genetics alone do not make you worthy successors." Morrison nodded. "Then test us. Give us the chance to prove we can restore the peace that the Terrans once maintained." The Prime Harvester gestured toward the burning remnants of Nexus Prime. "Very well. You have 30 of your days to end the chaos. If you succeed, the Harvester fleets will return to dormancy. If you fail, we will complete the culling and wait for another species to evolve into worthy guardians." As the communication ended, Morrison turned to his bridge crew. "Send a message to all human ships. Operation Restoration begins now." The next few days were the most intense in human history. Every available ship, diplomat, and engineer was mobilized for humanity's greatest challenge. The plan was ambitious almost beyond belief, but it was their only hope. Captain Kate Rivers led a fleet of human ships to the Karathi Melody border, where the two species had been fighting for over a year. Using technology from the Terran archives, her engineers quickly established a neutral zone between the warring fleets. "This is Commander Rivers of the Earth Defense Force," she broadcast to both sides. "We're here to mediate a permanent peace agreement. Both fleets will withdraw to safe distances while we negotiate." The Karathi admiral, a proud warrior named Kethvar, responded first. "Humans abandoned us before. Why should we trust you now?" Kate's reply was simple and direct. "Because we learned from our mistakes, and because your people are dying for nothing, while the real threat grows stronger." Meanwhile, Dr. Lisa Murphy led teams of human engineers to industrial worlds across the galaxy. Using the advanced Terran technical manuals, they quickly restored power systems and manufacturing capabilities that had been failing for months. On Gamma Serpentis, Supervisor Thurok 5 watched in amazement as human engineers repaired his factory's fusion reactors in just hours. "How do you do this so easily?" he asked Dr. Murphy. "Because we designed these systems in the first place," Lisa replied. "Our ancestors built this technology. We just forgot how to use it properly. The diplomatic challenges were even greater than the technical ones." President Helen Cruz established her headquarters on a neutral world near the galactic core, where representatives from dozens of species came to negotiate new treaties. "The old Galactic Council is dead," Cruz announced to the assembled aliens, "but we can build something better, a true partnership where every species contributes their strengths." Senator Paul Graham worked with alien diplomats to establish the new government structure. Unlike the old council, where humans had been restricted and controlled, the new Galactic Alliance would recognize humanity as the natural mediators and peacekeepers they had always been. The Xanthari-Cortex War proved to be the most difficult conflict to resolve. Both empires had suffered massive losses and wanted revenge more than peace. It took Admiral Morrison's personal intervention to bring their leaders together. "Your war is destroying both your peoples," Morrison told the assembled Xanthari and Cortex commanders. "Continue fighting and the Harvesters will destroy whatever worlds you have left." The Xanthari Emperor, a proud ruler named Zeth Ral, spoke first. "The Cortex started this war. They must pay for their aggression." "The Xanthari invaded our territory," replied Cortex Prime Minister Vex 9. "We were defending ourselves." Morrison activated a holographic display showing both empires' territories. "Look at this map. Really look at it. The border you're fighting over contains 7 uninhabitable worlds and some asteroid mining rights. Is that worth the lives of millions of your people?" He then showed them images of harvester ships destroying other worlds. "This is what happens to civilizations that can't maintain peace. Choose. Compromise with your enemies, or watch your children die. The negotiations took 3 weeks, but eventually both sides agreed to Morrison's peace plan. The disputed territory would become a jointly administered zone, with human peacekeepers stationed there permanently to prevent future conflicts. As the 30-day deadline approached, humanity worked frantically to address every major crisis in the galaxy. Trade routes were restored using human coordination. Technological systems were repaired by human engineers. Diplomatic agreements were mediated by human negotiators. On the final day, Admiral Morrison stood once again before the Prime Harvester, this time in the restored chambers of what would become the new Galactic Alliance headquarters. "The chaos has ended," Morrison reported. 17 major wars have been resolved. Economic systems are functioning again. The species of this galaxy are working together under human guidance, just as they did under the Terrans. The Prime Harvester examined the data that Morrison provided. Battle damage assessments, economic indicators, diplomatic treaty confirmations, and dozens of other metrics all showed the same thing. In 30 days, humanity had accomplished what the old Galactic Council hadn't managed in years. "Your species has proven worthy," the Prime Harvester announced. "The Terran legacy lives on. The Harvester fleets will return to dormancy until needed again." As the massive Harvester ships disappeared into the depths of space, Morrison felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Humanity had reclaimed their ancient role, but now they had to live up to it. The new Galactic Alliance was formally established 6 months later. Unlike the old Council, it recognized humanity's unique abilities and responsibilities. Humans served as mediators, peacekeepers, and technical advisors, but they also worked to develop the diplomatic and technical skills of other species. Captain Ben Adams now commanded a new type of ship, designed using both modern human technology and ancient Terran knowledge. His mission was to explore the galaxy's outer regions, watching for threats and making contact with new civilizations. "How does it feel to be the galaxy's guardians again?" his first officer, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, asked as they prepared for their first deep space mission. Ben looked out at the stars, thinking about all the species depending on humanity to keep them safe. "It feels like coming home," he replied. "We were meant for this even when we didn't know it." Earth had walked away from the Galactic Council, and everything had fallen apart. But from that collapse, humanity had discovered their true purpose and built something much better. They were no longer junior members begging for acceptance. They were the galaxy's protectors, carrying on a legacy that stretched back thousands of years. The stars themselves seemed brighter now, knowing that the Terrans had returned to watch over them once again.